Hello viewers, welcome to our channel. I will tell you the important news of the day. But before that, quickly subscribe to my channel. And press the bell icon next to it and give a like to the video. Your like encourages us to make more videos. Freddie Roach reflects ahead of Manny Pacquiao's last dance. 30 years after opening the Wild Card Boxing Club, after a lengthy career that has seen him work in the corner of the likes of James Toney, Oscar de la Hoya, Miguel Cotto, and Mike Tyson, Freddie Roach is preparing for one last ride with the fighter with whom he will always be indelibly associated. He is sitting downstairs in the portion of the gym he opened specifically for that fighter, and that is now the reserve of those boxers Roach has tapped as being worthy of extra attention. As we talk, some of his more promising contenders are thumping heavy bags and speed bags. He is asked if anything quite matches the feeling of having a young kid show up unannounced and begin the path to world championship glory. It's a great feeling to have, Roach confirmed as he recounted the most memorable occasion on which it happened back in 2001, when a young Filipino called Manny Pacquiao and his team walked up the stairs in search of someone to work the mitts with him. This young kid with a couple guys behind him knocks on the screen door, doesn't even get to the real door, and says, "I hear you can catch punches with mitts well. Can you catch me?" I say, "I think so. Why don't you come in and let's go?" So the first day with Pacquiao was a great day. He started throwing combinations and he had great speed. It was really good. He kind of made me forget about everyone else in the gym. A few weeks later, as Pacquiao was on the cusp of leaving California and returning to the Philippines, he got the call to replace Enrique Sanchez as the challenger for the IBF junior featherweight title held by South Africa's Lelehanalo Ledwaba. I had Johnny Tapia at the time, and Tapia's wife was his manager, and she didn't want to go near Ledwaba, Roach told me once. Nobody wanted to go near the guy. Pacquiao stepped into the ring at the MGM Grand and tore into South Africa's Ledwaba, breaking his nose in the first round, dropping him in the second, and stopping him in the sixth. Roach and Pacquiao had won their first world title together. It would not be their last. That any of us, me, Roach, Pacquiao, the boxers hitting the bags downstairs, the beginners working out upstairs, had ever walked through the doors, that there were doors to walk through in the first place, is ultimately down to Mickey Rourke. It is perhaps hard to recall now, but there was a period in the 1980s when Rourke was one of Hollywood's hottest properties. Roles in the likes of Body Heat and Diner brought him to the attention of critics and filmgoers, starring turns in Rumblefish, Angel Heart, 9.5 Weeks, and more made him a bona fide leading man. If your offbeat movie needed a complicated antihero, Rourke was your guy. But like a lot of actors who speed to the summit, he descended back to earth with shocking rapidity. A few clunkers and box office failures later, Rourke resolved to quit acting and try his hand at a childhood love, boxing. Rourke befriended Gary Stretch, a British middleweight who was heading in the opposite direction as he sought to become established as an actor. Stretch introduced him to an up-and-coming trainer called Freddie Roach. Rourke persuaded Roach to leave Las Vegas, where he was living, and move to Hollywood to train Rourke in a gym of his own. Roach agreed, but he soon found himself needing to bring his famous pupil down a peg. "I wasn't training properly," Rourke told me back in 2010. "Freddie just packed his bags and went back to Vegas. He says, 'I'll see you in a month if you ever train the right way. I don't give a shit who you are. I don't train people to lose.'" I was in tears, literally. I said, "Freddie, please," and he said, "No, man, I'm not going to work with you with what you're giving me. If you want to train like that and be knocked on your ass, I'm not going to be in your corner." He tried to be the best he could, but it just wasn't enough, recalled Roach. He was a good fighter, but he's really a great actor. But one thing he did do, he did spend his money, and he built a great gym with wood floors like a basketball court. I slept in an apartment above the floor, and I could look over and see who's there, see who's not there. That was a nice place he built me. And when Rourke was done with his attempt at being a pro boxer, he left it all to Roach, who used the money to open the space on the corner of Santa Monica and Vine that would become the Wild Card Boxing Club. It all began with Eddie Futch. Futch, whose lengthy career included, most notably, guiding Joe Frazier to world championship glory, was Roach's trainer when the Boston-born slugger was fighting, and his teacher when he turned to training. Even now, Almost a quarter century after Futch's passing, his memory and imprint remain evident at Wild Card. Roach offers up praise for him unprompted on a regular basis. Eddie started it. He was like a book, and I came up paying attention to Eddie, Roach said. It was so fucking difficult at first because he's low in his voice, you know? And I've got to get in a position where he says everything in my ear, so I'd stand right behind him with my ears right beside his mouth. And he would give the guys instructions, and I'm going along with him the whole way. And it worked well. And being behind him was maybe even better, because he would show me what he meant. He wouldn't just tell me what he meant. If a trainer can show you what he's up to, maybe he'll make you great someday, right? It is one of the fundamental truths of boxing that, in the grand scheme of things, there is little to be taught about how to succeed in the ring that hasn't already been taught by Futch, or Ray Arcel, or Angelo Dundee, or any number of the past greats. The day before, I had watched with Roach as two of his current charges, junior middleweight Callum Walsh and welterweight Gore Eurytsean, tore into the heavy bag for 30 seconds, eased off for 30, and unloaded again, each spell of 30 seconds following directly after the other, over and over, until their back and arm muscles must have been screaming. That, said Roach, was something Futch taught him. Conditioning is probably the key, he explained. And so, how can I get this guy in the best condition of his life? And sometimes you have to revert back to the 30s. I mean, because 30s are repeatable. 30, 30, 30, 30. The whole routine goes for 30 seconds. And when I watch these guys do it, I'm thinking about Eddie getting his guys ready for these big fights in the same way. And this is what I have to do to get my guys ready for the big fight. Because 30s are not really complicated or anything like that. But even the best fighters can struggle with them at first. He glances up at a poster on the wall, featuring the face of one of the more famous fighters he has both trained and gone up against. Oscar de la Hoya. He got really very fucking tired doing his first 30s. Roach revealed of the man he trained to face off against Floyd Mayweather Jr. in 2007. I thought that maybe he couldn't make it, you know, because he wasn't doing as great as I thought he would in the 30s, but then the next day, he showed up. I told him, give me what you need to give me. And he did. 2 fights later, the two men were in different corners as De La Hoya faced off against Pacquiao and, as Roach tells it, Pacquiao went out there and kicked his ass.